Hello, how happy are you today? Ask yourselves that. Ask yourself, how happy are you? Because happiness is extremely hard to find today. And to make matters worse, it's not like we were happy in the past. There's no proof that we were ever happy. The fact is that people have always sought to find happiness. But how many of us actually find happiness? Happiness has proven to be quite elusive in all facets of our lives, even today. Aristotle, in his deliberations more than 2,000 years ago, noted that the desire to find happiness was fundamental to mankind. He observed that wealth and valuable and attractive commodities of this world are valued because we expect them to make us happy. But how many of us do these things actually make happy? Are we happy because of the amount of money that we have? The wealth that we have gathered? Are we happy because of all the friends that we have? Of all the romantic relationships that we have in our lives? Are we happy because of the size of our family, or because of the qualities within each family member that we have? Examine yourself. Are you truly happy? Is there any time in your life that you were truly happy? Was it sustainable happiness? Was it a long-lasting happiness? Did it last as long as you wanted it to last? Or did it break down? Did the happiness just stop because the relationship broke down? Or did it last for years and years until you decided that, okay, you've had enough of that happiness? Though since Aristotle's time we have seen vast improvements, such as elaborate advancement in science and technology and modernity, sadly though, nothing has changed in relation to the attainment of happiness. As a result, today people still end up feeling that their lives are spent in a sea of anxiety and boredom. However, in spite of this harsh reality, the media has thrived off its grand portrayal of happiness, which has designed, often colored by seduction and wrapped up in sophistication. According to Watson, happiness has set the scene and tone for the publishing industry since the early 20th century. Suffice to say, not because we deluded ourselves into thinking we had it then or even now in the different social arenas of our existence. The thing is that happiness is so hard to come by. So few of us have achieved happiness. In fact, I'm very doubtful as to whether we've actually achieved happiness in the past, as Aristotle has highlighted some many years ago. And you know, I figure that if we did not achieve happiness back in the day, it's even more difficult to achieve happiness today, even though science and technology have advanced so much and we have modernity now in our midst. It's even more difficult to achieve happiness. Regardless of our failure to secure happiness, the ideology of happiness continues to rule the terrains of our existence. White discerned that, like the history of mankind, the abstraction of happiness has no normal history. In addition, he observed that the idea of happiness directs us to all-inclusive assessment of an individual's condition. So many people, they will ask you, if they're trying to analyze you psychologically, they will ask you, are you happy? Are you in a happy relationship? Are you married? Is the marriage going okay? Have you had a quarrel recently with your partner? What about your family members? Are they happy with you? Have you had a fallout with them recently? And they will use that to judge, to make the most essential judgment on your mental health. They will say, okay, maybe you are not so stable. Maybe you're not so mentally well because you had a fallout with one of your family members, you had a fallout with one of your relatives, you had a big fallout with one of your friends, you fell out with your partner, so you are not doing very well mentally. In addition, he observed that the idea, that's right, of happiness directs us to an all-inclusive assessment of an individual's condition. He noted that it makes a claim, at least, to take into account all considerations about what's desirable and worthwhile. So, we will use happiness to judge whether it is worthwhile to be with somebody. If they're not a happy person, if they're a very sad person, then it's probably not worthwhile to go and be with that person. To form a relationship with a person is not very desirable. Because if you're depressed, it's the most difficult thing to find a partner. Because once you say that, oh, I'm depressed, then nobody wants to be with you. Nobody wants to be by your side. Nobody wants to hold your hand. In fact, you might lose a lot of your friends just because you state that you are depressed. Yet to further complicate the issue, it is apparent that there needs to exist a clear and concise consensus on one's prescribed level of happiness. White argues that it is impossible for those differing in morals, values and beliefs to agree in determining who is happy as opposed to who is not. Yes, so it is easy to decide that somebody's not happy because they look sad, they might be tearful, they might have a lot of complaints. So it becomes obvious that they're not happy. And furthermore, they're making it clear to you. The signs are obvious that they're not happy. But how easy is it to tell how happy someone is who declares that they are happy? Are they truly happy? How happy are they? If we were to get a group of people to sit in a room and to have a look at, say, students in a particular class individually, how are we going to judge to say who was happy and who was not happy? And to what extent the person who declares or who seems to be happy is actually happy? Are we going to be able to come to a consensus? No, that is clearly complicated matter. According to Shade Meng Teng, a company engineer in America, well, he saw how unhappy his colleagues were, and he persuaded his boss to allow him to create a course that could teach his employees mindfulness skills. Mindfulness is to be able to think of how negative things and negative thoughts actually affect you, affect how you think, affect how you perform, affect every area of your life. So if you think in a negative way, it will affect you negatively, only because we're all humans. And if you think in a positive way about things, then it will have positive effects on you and every aspect of your life. And that's mindfulness. So he persuaded his boss to have him teach his colleagues mindfulness skills. So because he did that, he found that it informed emotional intelligence and well-being, improved well-being among his colleagues. Close the door. Close the door. Close it. Close it. Right up, Akela. It is seeing that a lot of happiness officers are rising up in America, spreading all over the place. The thing is that so many people are unhappy, and because when you're unhappy, it affects all aspects of your life. So it was evident in how they performed at work, and it was evident in how they behaved at work, in their entire attitude. Because of this, these officers are gaining a right to a position that's usually uncharted in businesses. But today, there are officers in businesses and in companies that are there for the sole purpose of making their colleagues happy, or seeing to the happiness of their colleagues. They are there to sort out any aspect that is causing dissatisfaction in the workplace, and to bring about happiness. And this in itself is seen to improve productivity. It's affecting growth in a positive way in companies and in businesses, and it's seen today to be in the best interest of businesses and companies alike. Because the role of happiness and the state of happiness is so detrimental to our well-being, I decided to do happiness as my main topic for my dissertation. And the thing is that happiness is all good and well to say that we're happy, but it's happiness, obviously, and I've seen earlier, it's a very complicated matter. And while we're searching for happiness and looking for happiness, it just brings about a lot of stress in our lives. If we're looking for romantic happiness, it brings so much stress upon us, and we never know who we're gonna meet. We could actually meet the wrong person, and that person brings even more stress in our lives. And when we're looking for happiness in our peer groups, this is stressful as well, because we might think that we've formed friends, true friendships, but then we find that these were just, false people coming into our midst, disrupting our lives and making life more difficult for us, presenting more challenges for us, and hurting us. These people will come into our midst and hurt us,